I'm aware that many of you have expressed a desire for online counseling, and to that effect, we have a sponsor who will help you and assist you in that respect. So if you will, go beneath the video, you'll find a link to our online counseling sponsor. They have a whole team of counselors that can help you. Practice self-care, get the help that you need. In an ideal world, we would each be able to say that we have individuals that we are connected with on a heart level. There's a sense that says, I understand you well, you understand me well, we have one another's backs, and you would be the kind of people that would say to one another, whenever the times get rough, we're there for each other, and you can have a sense of mutuality and regard for each other. When you have relationships like that, it just keeps you optimistic and gives you a reason to get up and go about your day every single day. There are some individuals, though, that we would just refer to as the avoidant people. These are individuals who have decided, that relationship closeness stuff, it doesn't work for me. Now, sometimes they can give you the appearance that they're willing to relate, and they can have some superficiality, and in fact, some of them may even be quite social and gregarious in the way that they engage with each other. But when it comes down to truly letting people know them from the inside out and them really wanting to know you from the inside out, it's like arm's length. I'm not doing that. Now, I understand that there are some people that you do have to keep at arm's length. So know that when I'm talking about avoidant people, I'm not talking about the moments where you just have to go into self-preservation mode with people who are not healthy. What I'm talking about is individuals who have a committed way of life that says, I am going to stay away from people at all cost. These avoidant individuals are actually defined by their emotional lack of availability. They will shun closeness at all cost. They can have very thick walls of defense. They can be known as rigid or sometimes frigid. They can just be known as being personally closed off. They may have multiple brief relationships where they seem to have some good connections with people, but inevitably they tend to run people off. And their attachments tend to be very superficial, and they just can't last because these avoidant individuals, it's like, no, I don't want to go into the effort that is required. They can be very calculated in the way that they engage with people. Now, the longer you are interacting with that person who turns out to be quite avoidant, then the more you're going to go into what we just simply refer to as relationship collapse. You're over there wondering what's going on here, and at the same time, they're thinking, wonder all you want, but I'm not going to engage with you at all. I'm not going to try to answer that question at all. Now, some of these individuals can have strong narcissistic tendencies. Sometimes they're overt narcissists in that they like to be loud and showy, but they don't want to be close. Sometimes they're very covert. They give the appearance of wanting to be normal, but in fact, they're just not going to do it. And then there can be all sorts of variations in between. But basically, one of the things that defines the avoidant person is they don't take responsibility for the way that they are. They don't take responsibility for the fact that they create disaster and they create or play right into a relationship collapse. Instead, they blame. They play the victim role. They criticize. Look what you've done to me. And I'd be fine if it weren't for all these people out there that just didn't know what they were doing. They will often refer to a deep history of having felt misunderstood or giving a raw deal or having been cheated on or having been manipulated by people or controlled by other individuals or being around people that have inflicted pain. And my reaction to that as a therapist, it's like, those things can be worked through. I mean, can't we all look back and say, well, I've had my moments too where things didn't go well and I did not get treated properly. But we can grow and we can learn how to find individuals who can lean into the healthy ingredients. The avoidant person, again, it's not a matter of just momentary self-preservation. It's like, no, I have a way of life that says you will not get close to me. Now, you're over there in trying to engage with that avoidant person, and you're wondering, you're kind of twisted around, frankly. You're wondering, well, what did I do? Why are you acting as you are toward me? Or sometimes you can say, I thought originally this was going to be a good relationship, but now I just feel defrauded, or I feel duped. And then when you try to say something to that person, the avoidant individual will come back and say, well, there's something wrong with your expectations. It's you're the problem. And then you can become very angry and very hurt. And when you try to express that anger and hurt, you don't get good reactions, which only intensifies the emotion on the inside. And then the avoidant person can go into the crazy making kind of behavior where they'll sometimes ghost you only to reappear later on. And they can do anything and everything except say, why don't we talk about it? That's what healthy people do, and they just simply can't do it. Avoidant people tend to have a deep history, sure enough, of having felt abandoned. Or maybe they were even abused in their earlier years. They have certainly come to the conclusion that people cannot be trusted. In fact, sometimes there can be a paranoia that they operate with. They have a history where the whole notion of shame is right front and center in the way that they think about life. If you do this, you'll be held in high acclaim. If you do this, you'll be shamed. And so they've learned to try to stay on the high side, which means they will not allow themselves to be vulnerable whatsoever. And it could be that these individuals have lived with chronic superficiality with many other individuals in their past, and they've just kind of learned to skate along without having to go into much depth in their engagements. So I'm hoping that you can understand what you're dealing with when you have these avoidant individuals. And rather than going into a what can we do to make this better kind of a mindset, you can have more of a mindset that says, I want to be healthy despite their pathology that they bring. And just because this person is closed off doesn't mean that I have to go into my own personal collapse. The relationship itself may not have a long-term solid foundation, but on the inside, I can't let that person get in my head so much that their avoidance of me gets me to the place where I am not a healthy person at all. Many times when you have been with that avoidant person, it can set up feelings of rebelliousness on your part, like, well, fine, I'll go do something else that's going to make me feel good, and it may not be wise decisions. It can create low self-esteem on your part. It can cause you, like I say, to have that argumentative style. You can go into anger, into depression and anxiety and things of that nature. Basically, these individuals are communicating, I'll hang around with you as long as you don't have any major expectations of me. And again, it's normal. It's good to desire closeness. It's good to desire connectedness. But sure enough, what we are going to say is, okay, I guess I'll take my cues and say I will lower my expectations. You've made it very clear that you're not really into, not just me, but into people in general. I get it. And it may even be that there'll be times when you'll even conclude, if that's the way it's going to be, particularly on a permanent basis, I need to move on. I'm out. And then the avoidant person, rather than thinking, well, wait a minute, we can talk this through, their basic mantra is, well, one way or another, I have to be in control. And so, okay, that's fine. You want to be in control, but I don't want to be controlled by you. The biggest mistake that you can make with that avoidant person is you can go into the pleading, you can go into the coercive, you can go into the persuasive kind of mode, because then when that happens, they feel very empowered by that. It's like, okay, I can see that you're wanting something from me, and I kind of like the surge of power that gives me. Don't even go into that space with them. Keep in mind that everybody has the freedom to choose who they want to be. And if that's what they choose, then that's where they are. But you have that freedom too. And if it becomes clear that this is somebody that just is not going to connect with you, so be it. They are injured individuals, but you don't want to let their injury define who you are. I hope that videos such as this give you some clarity with respect to some of the individuals you might be dealing with. If you've not already hit that subscribe button, I would encourage you to subscribe to my Dr. Les Carter channel here. We already have my Surviving Narcissism channel that I'm sure you're familiar with. If you have a need for counseling, and many times when you're in these situations, that would be something that would be beneficial to you, I would encourage you to seek counseling where you are, or if that's not something that's available, or if you would prefer differently, we have a sponsor that will take you to online counseling. There's a whole team of licensed professional experienced counselors that you could choose from. We have a link below that would get you to that place, and I would encourage you to seek the counseling that you would need. In addition, we have my courses, and these are not just one-off kind of seminars. They're a whole series of lessons and videos and thoughtful questions that we have for you. The first one I have is called Free to Be, and we have a brand new one called This Is Me, Establishing Boundaries with the Controllers in Your Life. And if you would find that to be a good way to enhance your therapeutic efforts, then I would encourage you to go there. We also have we have links below there. We also have my books and other resources below. You know, I know that you would like to have people that can connect with you, but if an individual consistently lets you know, I am committed to not connecting, okay, I get it. Instead of trying to pull them out of their dysfunction, I'm hoping that you can move forward on Team Healthy so that you can be the kind of person that says, when you engage with me, you're getting somebody that really knows how to love well and how to show respect and civility. That's what I stand for. That's what I'm committed to.